I'm Regina Heyward, Senior Vice President and Head of Supplier Diversity at Wells Fargo, and I consider my role to be a key influencer and advocate on behalf of diverse businesses. When I think about supplier diversity, I'm going to start really at the emotional level of what it means if everyone within our society has an opportunity to succeed. I think about our customers, I think about the demographics within the United States, I think about industry and how industry is changing and evolving so quickly and so rapidly, and how the next idea, we really don't know where that next idea is coming from. Maybe it will come from an African American young person in the Atlanta area. Maybe it's going to come from a Native American who solves a big problem that we have within the corporate arena. But what I'm finding, and what I've always really embraced throughout my career, was the notion that value can be created if you have the energy, the innovation, the access to capital, the access to networks that you need. And so a big part of what I think supplier diversity has to do is to set the conditions for success for everyone. We work a lot with majority businesses around supplier diversity within our supply chain. How can they have the same values and commitments that Wells Fargo has to inclusion? And what I'm finding is when we find those nuggets of opportunity, we all get really excited. Whether, again, it's a business that gives us access into a new market, or whether it's someone who has the next big thing in digital innovation, or within the banking and finance space, we're talking about the fact that our customers are saying to us, hey, we want to be able to bank on whatever device we have. Doesn't necessarily have to be that we walk into a Wells Fargo branch. So in order to make our customers happy and to really listen to their voice, it's requiring that we have conversations with smaller businesses, businesses that are operating in niche areas, businesses who have really thought about disruption from a different perspective and can bring that thinking into Wells Fargo. So I'm really thankful that supplier diversity is not a program in my mind. In fact, I don't even allow my team to talk about it as a supplier diversity program. We talk about a supplier diversity strategy, because a strategy is living and breathing, and it's moving, and it's tracking the economy, and it's talking about preferences, and it's looking to solve new problems. To me, that is what supplier diversity is. Really think like an investor about your business, especially when you're on the front end of it. There are some interesting ways that investors really evaluate what is a good investment. Just basic things. How is this business going to make money? Who are my customers? Who are my competitors? What makes my competitors good at what they do? Is what I'm thinking of doing a disruption? And then most importantly, where is this industry in its cycle? There's some industries that are very, very late cycle. They've kind of been through all the innovation and all the change and all the market penetration, and they're just hanging out there because they're folks that are still doing whatever that thing is. That's okay. I know folks who have been very, very successful in those late stage businesses because they understand where they're getting in and where the business cycle is. If you don't understand the business cycle, the concern is you can really get trampled as things are changing and migrating and moving forward, and then technology is a big piece of that. So I think really starting with an investor mindset is key. The second thing I would say is be open to collaboration on day one. I mentioned some of the work that I've done recently in Shanghai, China, and within my career, I've been very fortunate to work outside the U.S. In places like Brazil and Europe, down in Mexico, and I know the power of coming together. So I would say, as you're starting out, go ahead and think about your business as a global business. Go ahead and start exploring, hey, is there something happening similar to what I want to do in Africa or in Latin America? Let me partner up with a chamber and see if I can start meeting and networking with some people who may have some same interests. So that collaboration piece, I think, is an opportunity to grow and scale, and to do it with someone else who has kind of the commensurate know-how. And then the last thing I'd say is to create an access to capital plan. To do it from day one, to just say, hey, Here's the point in my maturity where I'm going to be interested in debt. Here's the point in my maturity where I might be interested in equity. Here's where I may have to tap into venture capital or some other networks. I think if you think through that, if you kind of start with the end in mind, as you're going through, you're not as surprised as you figure out, hey, I just got this great contract and now I need to scale and bring folks in and I got to pay them. What do I do there? It's time for us to tell the story, and it's time for us to be happy about the story, for us to acknowledge that where we are, so many people have really worked and labored to bring us to this place. But I also think it's time for us to celebrate. I know the jobs that have been created, the new leased facilities that have been secured. I know people who have transitioned and now they are in the leadership role as a CEO of their company because they call and they kind of tell us, hey, here are the things that are happening because of the work that we're doing with Wells Fargo. So this, to me, was an opportunity for us to participate in telling the story. And my hope is that as we tell this story, there's more and more people who are going to come on board and say, wow, I want to be a part of that, right? I want to continue to see the country win, to see our companies win, to see our communities win, because we're creating a platform where everybody has an opportunity to play.